My name's Adele Onyango, and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to this episode of Legally Clueless. This is what's coming up.
I remember my first internship. I used to cry every single day when I was going home because I used to feel like I'm failing in everything. And there's someone that once told me he had sent me a spanner. They always have numbers, 3/4, half, 3/16, like that. So people always know them, but just the look of it, but they are always written. So for me, I was still checking in the toolbox, trying to see which number. And this person is like, Ella, where's the spanner? And I'm still checking, I'm confused. And it's like, no, this is why we want women in the office. You can't deal with this. You should go to the office like other women and stay there. Maybe that will work. I think I went to the toilet and I was just crying.
That is part one of Ella's story. It is so powerful. I feel like it's one of those stories that's going to be reflective and a connecting piece for a lot of women when it comes to what we experience in workplaces. But before we get into today's story, I have two very exciting mannerless updates for you. First and foremost, I am still in shock, to be very honest, but thank you so much, because our very first For Mannerless Women Live is officially sold out. Over 100 women have already signed up, bought their tickets. We're full. Tumeja. We are full. Tumeja means we're full for our family members who don't speak Swahili. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to every single woman who bought a ticket, to everyone who shared the event with a friend, with a sister, with a colleague, with a cousin, to everyone who joined the wait list from whatever country, because for those of you who are outside of Kenya, we see you and we appreciate you, and we still responded to you. And to everyone who has just been super excited with us as we build this. I can't wait for us to gather on the 26th of September. And I think it's going to be such a beautiful, beautiful, powerful, expansive day. I can't wait to meet you. Oh my God. I think that's the most exciting part for me, is like to see you face to face. And I'm just so grateful that you've trusted us enough to show up. And if you didn't manage to get a ticket, really sorry. Next time, please be swift, be swift. But there's still plenty of For Mannerless Women coming your way, because, second announcement, season 6 of For Mannerless Women starts this Thursday, the 13th of August. We have an incredible season of conversations with such incredible women coming your way. And you'll be able to watch the season on our YouTube channel. It's linked in the show notes. And there'll be new episodes out every single Thursday. So make sure you stay subscribed on all platforms. Actually, yes, if you prefer to watch video, it's going to be on our YouTube channel. If you prefer audio, then subscribe wherever it is that you're listening to this. We'll meet you where you are. So we take you as you are, my friend. And yeah, I'm really excited about season 6. The trailer went out. It's on all of our social media platforms. So if you want to check out what's coming your way in season 6, head over to our Instagram, to our TikTok. They are all linked in the show notes. Okay, let's get into today's story. Today you are going to meet, in quotes, Ella. And her story is going to take us from childhood in Western Kenya to living with different sides of her family, and to eventually finding her way into aviation.
100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
I grew up in Western. Actually, no one knows that. So I have a Wafula in my name. That time, I was staying with my grandparents. So my parents never got married. Yes, so my dad moved to the US and my mom had to go back to school. So in campus. So I had to stay with my grandparents in a family of 6, and I was the younger one. So it felt as if I was the last born in the family. It was really fun because I didn't have a chair at the table. So I used to be moved around, sitting on top of someone, Yeah, just being fed with different people like my uncles and aunties. My grandpa used to work in pan pepper. If you remember, pan pepper back then, it was their pan pepper. So our estate used to have a lot of Indians. And the first school that I actually schooled at was called Pan Pepper Primary. And it was really fun. I used to have so many kids in the estate. We used to play a lot. And then later on, I was transferred. My grandpa got a promotion at work, and I was transferred to another private school. And I was the only black person in the class full of Indians. How was it for me? That time, it was really fun. I used to get everything I wanted from all those Indians, I was like, it kind of felt like I was their baby. Let me say that, because I would never lack anything. Even if my grandpa was busy at work, I would still get whatever the school wanted from me from the other kids and parents. So I never lacked anything that time. And it was really fun. We used to go to all these Indian festivals and all that. Like, it was really, really fun. Then my grandma was a nurse that time, and she wanted to move back home. So they are Luo. My mom is a Luo, but my dad is a Luya. So my grandma wanted to move back home, the way everyone moves back home later on in life. Her home was actually way past Kisumu now, Nyanza. So she left, and I stayed with my grandpa. But since I really loved my grandma more, I used to cry a lot in school saying that I wanted to follow her. So my grandma was like, okay, come. So I went to Kisumu. And it's way past Kisumu, by the way. And from there, we were just two people, me and my grandma, in a big piece of land. Like, it was so big, with just like a small house in the middle. And we used to do everything together, by the way. We were like very close. So during school days, you know how the village is, the schools are very far. So now she used to take me to school every morning. Schools at home are crazy, like you have to be at school by 6. The school is so far, like super far, but you have to make it by 6 or else like there'll be consequences. Like, the beating was crazy. I don't know whether people still do that these days. So my grandma used to wake up in the morning, just help me out, and then we walk all the way to school. And since it was really far, she would again come and bring me lunch, because she didn't want me to do what other kids were doing, like coming all the way. So I was one of the brightest kids, by the way. I used to get like 400 marks. So you were known in the whole school. But the beating again was crazy. The caning was crazy. Like, they force it into you. Like, they force the knowledge into you. So you just have to pass. And I feel like it kind of transitions to why I did what I did today. I was really good at maths, like very, very good. So I used to. It's one of those days where 100 is like nothing to you. 100% is nothing to you. You just aim for 100%. You don't even aim for 98%. You remember how the schools were. And then now I went to high school after. High school, it was still in Kisumu. I didn't like the high school that I was in. I felt like it was still stressful because you've just gone to this primary school where there's crazy rules, and then you're still going to this other school where there's also crazy rules. My mom that time had already remarried and was staying in Mombasa now. Yes. So I wanted to go to Mombasa. Why not? I've never stayed in Mombasa. So my mom takes me, and I go to Mombasa. It takes me to a school around Taita. The transition was really good, to be honest. I liked it. I was in Coast. Now I could go visit my grandma back in the village, telling people like now I'm from Coast. And after like a year, that was Form 2 now, I got bored with the school. So of course I started just disturbing my mom that I want to change schools. You remember when at school you used to tell people that next term I'm not coming back? I was one of those people. So I said next term I'm not coming back. So my mom, I think, was very stressed out. And there's a time I get a call when I was actually just in Mombasa with her. Someone talks to me. I don't know who this person was, but this person introduces himself as my dad. That thing has never even been in my mind, to be honest. I was just a kid. But these days I see kids very differently. For me, I was just living the life. I didn't care where my dad was because I had everything that time. And then now the stress comes. I'm like, huh? My dad? Okay. So now there's that explanation. But I pick up the phone call, we talk. It's not as intimate as I thought it would be because it's just for me, I just felt it's just some random guy, because I've never had any conversation with you. So at 15, I don't have emotions yet because this is the first time we're talking to this person and I don't even know how you look like. So when I was in Webuye, that is that time with Pan Pepper, the estate that we were in, there was just that rumor that goes around. The neighbor kind of told me, do you know your dad is in the US? But I was a kid. I didn't care whether someone was in the US or the UK. It really didn't bother me at all. But later on, my mom introduced me to someone. I could still remember his face because now that's my current mom's husband. He used to really bring me a lot of things. And you know how kids are. For me to just make me like you, it's snacks, anything I want. So that's how I got used to him. The relationship with my stepdad was really, really good. Till now, it's still good. I considered him my dad compared to the person who wasn't there before. He did everything to me. Fees, shopping, anything that I wanted, whatever dads do, he was there. But that time now, when I was being introduced to my dad now, it was kind of a moment. Like I told you, I was still going through that transition with school when I was disturbing my mom. I want to change. And then now this other one comes in. It was just a lot. But to be honest, I still feel like the other one was my dad's side wasn't really important that time. For me, I just wanted to change schools. Then my mom said, okay, cool. Let's go visit some people in Nairobi. I was like, okay. So you see, I'm happy because my school is going to be changed, yeah? At least I'm not going back to the school that I told people I'm not coming back. So I come to Nairobi. Remember, I don't know where I'm going to. I come to this house. We were waiting for people to come. And now I'm seeing people coming to hug me, to say hi. Oh my God, our daughter. But I don't know the people who are calling me our daughter. I'm so confused. I'm like, okay, who are these people? But then you're like 15, I guess 15, 16. You already know like someone calling you a granddaughter. So I kind of put the pieces together. I was like, okay, this is my side of my dad, my paternal side. But no one explained anything to me. I figured it out myself. I've still never had that talk with my mom. And then later on, she left. Yes. So I stayed, with people you've never met. You're just getting to know them. Remember, it's the way you are raised, it's different from how they raise people. Let me say that. It's different families raise kids differently, right? What was different is I was a very talkative person, by the way. I was very, very talkative. I could just say anything that was in my mind. But I'm coming this side, there's a lot of rules, So most of the time I was always you're very talkative. You don't know when to talk or when to keep quiet or who to talk to or who not to talk to. And to me, I felt like that because shut me down. Like I wasn't the Ella that I was when I was a kid. I had to become someone else to fit in this other space. And I'm sure they know that, or maybe they don't know, but I had to become someone else. But that's how the family is. So I stayed there, high school. I get to a new school, I was taken to some school in Limuru. Just a small school. Again, my side of the family, my paternal side, they have a children's home. They have a children's home, so they sponsor kids and all that. And so that's what they do, and businesses. But now when I was taken to this school in Limuru, it was really a small school. And since I was used to my mom doing things for me, like pocket money and everything else, this side I didn't have a lot. And I didn't know who to actually call because I'm not used to these people. So I remember I used to be in a lot of debt. Like a lot of debt. Like I would ask people for, give me 20 shillings, give me 50 bob and all that. I remember I even went to the canteen and I just started picking up things. I was like, my mom will pay. And when we came back for half term, after like 2 days-ish, I'm going out, I'm finding everything of mine in the front, at the front door from school. So my grandpa has actually gone to school, picked up kila kitu, brought it back home. So it meant I'm not going back to the school again. Reason, oh yeah, you're in a lot of debt, you're spoiling our name, blah, 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 all those things. So I was like, okay. So I stayed home, not for a long time. I don't remember how long I stayed home. And then I was taken to a school in Machakos. It was a mixed school. The other one in Limuru was also a mixed school. Then I'm taken to Machakos, a mixed school. All this time, I still wasn't talking to my dad a lot. Actually, not a lot completely. But in high school, I remember I used to I crammed his number, or I'm not sure whether I had written his number somewhere. And he's all the way in the US, so I would call whenever I didn't have money. So that's the only time we would talk. And a lot was really happening in high school. And I remember I had called my mom just complaining a lot of things. I need this, I need that, because I didn't know who to actually go to. And my mom came, helped me clear some balances and all that, in which it really didn't go the way we wanted to. But it's still okay. So now I'm in this side at the children's home. I mean, I wasn't staying at the children's home, but just doing things was mostly there. I could give back, meaning after school, you're supposed to go back and at least do some work over there, maybe the library, the hotel, just something. And the first time I even went to an airport is because the children's home has a lot of people coming in from sponsors from outside the country. So those are the times where you'll be told to go to the airport. And I remember that was basically my first time being inside an international airport, which was JKIA. But it still didn't hit me that I wanted to do aviation. It wasn't really in my mind. The only thing that was in my mind is doing something different from what my family was doing. And I didn't know what. So what I knew was, or what I was telling myself is, you have to be kind of different. And the difference will make you stay away. Yes. So in high school at Form 3, when I was going to Form 4, I feel like I had a lot, so I was failing. And I was disturbing my grandparents. Like, I never wanted to go to school because I was being bullied a lot. I still remember those ladies, by the way. So I was in the Kamba side, and I think in high school I was fat. I'd say that. And I think the bullying started because of my weight. Yeah. And also, one time I had written in, because I journal a lot. So my book, I guess, was taken by one of my bullies. And she decided to actually take it to the whole school. So the whole school read my journal. And now the whole school knows your stress, knows everything that you've ever written. And I didn't used to like Githeri, by the way. So people used to talk shit about it. It was more of the verbal bullying. And it's like the whole class talking about you. That time I was in Form 3. The whole night preps. You remember when we were having night preps? Night preps, people are just talking about you. And it's not the whispering, no. It's the whole class talking loudly about you because you can't do shit. Thank God I was also very bright, so I didn't have problems with the teachers. Like, I could get, even being told to go home because of fees wasn't really as easy. I was being like, yeah, they could tell me, you don't have to go, you're like this and this. I remember the deputy really loved me. I would look for her actually. So she would transfer me to her class, which was, I told you it was a mixed school. So her class, she liked teaching business class in the boys' class. So she would only take the bright students to her class. So I was one of them, with another girl who later on, I think, got pregnant and had to leave. So I was the only one in that class. So the competition was crazy with those boys. So I had to put in my all to actually be at the top. And then high school ended, and I came back home. So my grandparents from is it maternal? Yes, they used to call me a lot, or call my mom. Because I later found out that my mom never told them that she's bringing me to the paternal side. So there was a lot of things going on. And I remember my uncle from my mom's side, my mom's brother, actually told me there's some things which are for adults. Don't even get stressed up about these things. Because I was wondering, why is my maternal side not talking to my paternal side? They never visited, nothing. So if you say, come visit, they'll be like, you come visit. We can't come there. So my grandpa, I remember now I was starting to have a phone, like a small Nokia phone I could call. My grandpa used to call me. My grandma was like, oh, ever since you left, you haven't come back. Ever since you went to Nairobi, you haven't come back. When are you going to come back to see us? And I'll just say, I'll come. This other side now, after high school, I went to my grandparents now. And I still did not know what I wanted to do in campus. Like I said, I just wanted to do something different from everyone else. And since we had a lot of sponsors, so it was very easy for us to meet lots of white people. So we were meeting lots and lots of white people coming in. So that's maybe the exposure that I got. I never used to go out a lot or do a lot of things. So I was just home. I stayed home for 3 years before I joined campus. So what's happening in these 3 years was I didn't have fees to go, rather what I was told. So you're just working. I was working at the children's home. So whatever work that you'll be given, you'll do. So I did that. I was doing hotel work. Sometimes you are at the reception, sometimes you're at the school library. Like whatever place that needs work, you'll do it. And sometimes I'll go help my aunties with babysitting and all that. So it really took time. until there's a time I complained to my dad. Now I called. That time we had already started talking, but we hadn't seen each other. My dad used to actually, and I know maybe I'll actually send him this, because my dad used to come to Kenya during his sister's wedding. So he came to the first one, didn't bother to look for me. I don't know why. He has his own reasons, and I know he has told me a lot. And then the second time my dad came was also, but that was now after. So I'll talk about that later. Yeah. But now that time, I still haven't seen my dad. We just, thank God to WhatsApp. So we were just video calling and talking over the phone. So I used to call him and I told him, I've not gone to school. And he was like, huh? You haven't? Okay, why? So he starts complaining. He's like, and that time I was actually at the sister's place. And I was just complaining, like I haven't gone to school, when I go to school. I don't know how that escalated to just be another story. And my aunt dropped me back home, and I was told, like, the next day you'll go back to school. You'll go to school now, campus. But I think I've really fast forwarded this story. Yeah, let me go back kidogo. When after high school, I was thinking of doing pathology. I didn't even know what pathology was, because I didn't have exposure to so many things or courses the way these days kids are. And my grandpa was calling some of his friends, saying there are people in medicine. So he wanted to ask, how does someone go to pathology? And I remember one of them told him that you have to go through medicine first, the normal medicine school. And then now after that, you go to pathology, you have to specialize. So I thought, like, that was a lot of time. I was like, am I gonna be in school for 8 years? So I changed. And then I started saying that I wanted to do actuarial science. Again, I don't know what the fuck this is. Later on, as I kept on going, to be honest, I was just checking online. I started applying for schools abroad, seeing whether I'll get scholarships. Now that's the time that I started researching, doing a lot of research. And then I landed into aeronautics, still not knowing what this is. And I was like, okay, fine. I went to the airport. I saw this, the aircrafts. Maybe this is something that I'd love. And I had told you I had grown into being very quiet. So for me, I thought doing aeronautics is like being a mechanic. I won't be speaking to people a lot. I was like, maybe this is what will go with my personality. But was that really my personality? I don't think so. I was like, maybe this is what will go with my personality. And I told my grandparents, yeah, so I'd really love to do aeronautics. So I remember my grandma said that she knew someone in KCA. They brought someone to talk to me about it and the schools that were offering it. I started schooling in Wilson, one of the schools in Wilson, in which I had to stop because I didn't have fees. So I changed. And I had already finished, was I in, I think, the first semester or the second semester? And I didn't have fees at all. So I stayed home for a while again. I don't know how long, but then I changed schools. So adding up to when I said I stayed home for 3 years, I think after school, I started the one in Wilson, Fizi, Kaisha, and then now I stayed home for now equivalent to like 2 years. So yes. So now when my aunt brought me back home going to school, East Africa School of Aviation, that's where I schooled at. I remember I wasn't even talking to them in the car because it was just a lot of stories that was happening. So I was dropped at school, at the school hostels. Remember, for me, this was the first time I was free, away from everyone else. Now I can just be me. And I was so happy. I was like, finally, I can be myself. And I really, truly was myself. But I feel like I went overboard. I was not like overboard, but I was just having fun a lot. I was just the normal campus things. I got my faster too when I was in campus. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this because now I'm here. I vied for the school's secretary general, which I got. And you can imagine, I was very talkative. Everyone knew me at school, from lecturers to students, everyone. And that's when I was like, so I'm not that quiet. Yeah. So the school secretary general, and I still feel like no one at home knew who Ella was. They knew the version that they wanted me to be. So I give them that version. My paternal side. My maternal side know me as a different Ella. My paternal side know me as a different Ella. So if you ask my grandma from my maternal side, she will tell you Ella is loud, Ella is talkative, Ella has lots of stories. But if you ask my grandma or anyone in my paternal side, they'll tell you Ella is shy, Ella is quiet, Ella really doesn't talk a lot. Yeah, and I went with that, I was like, it doesn't hurt anyone, so I'll give you what you want. Oh, in campus now, we still had a lot was going on. There was problems with fees. But thank God, to me being the secretary general, it was very easy for them to just say, you can do your exams, because I made friends with a lot of people. Thank you to the finance side, to the exam side, thank you to everyone. It was very easy for me to do my exams even without the fees. But it would later on be paid. So after school, I would go back to the children's home, do some work, and then I'll go back to the school. It was like maybe my grandma loved something like that to all the kids. So we were still speaking. I was still speaking to my dad, but it was more of calls and video calls, WhatsApp. He still never came. Then after high school, after campus, I don't know why I'm stuck with high school, but after campus, I went to Wilson now. In campus, there's that fast attachment that you go to. And I wasn't really interested in going. But then you see the pressure. Everyone is posting in the group. I'm in KQ. I'm here. And I was like, I don't want to be the only one left out. So I have to go to Wilson to look for attachment. People always think it's easy, especially in the aviation industry. But it's not as easy as people think. Because I remember the first time I was walking. You go all the way to Ella.This. I don't know if you've seen Ella.This. Like, it's at the farthest end, looking for attachments. You're just being told, drop your papers, just the normal way people drop papers. You go back to this other side, the other road, all the way to the last company, nothing. So there's always like a small shop there in Wilson. So I was just seated there. I was almost crying, to be honest. And then some lady came and was like, are you looking for, what is wrong? Why you? I remember she was Muslim because she was wearing the hijab. And she asked me, why are you sad? What is happening? So I was almost crying in Wilson. And I told her, I've been walking around for the longest time and I haven't even gotten anywhere. And she said, come, let me take you to some company here. So she took me to some company, which was an engines company, and took me to the manager. And yes, I got the fast attachment over there. So that day when I was walking in Wilson, I remember I was just walking through one of the companies and there were some people eating smokies. And I tapped one of them and I asked him, is there a space in your company? And he said no. And I said, will it be there next year or something, because I'll be finishing school? And he said, you know what, why don't you give me your number? If there's space, I will call you. So I told him, okay, can you also give me your number? Because maybe you'll even forget about me. I'm the one in need. So he said, cool. So I took his number. I didn't know who this person was. I just knew he was working at that certain company. So I did my first at school attachment in that other company that the Muslim lady helped me with, went back to school. So when I was in my third year, the guy I took the number from called me and was like, hi, Ella, there's a space Do you want to come? I said, I'm back in school already, but maybe after school. He said, okay, cool. So I finished my third year. I was home for a while. Again, I wasn't really in a rush with going to internship. I was still working at the children's home, and then I got tired. I was like, oh no, I need to look for internship to just be able to leave this space, because to me, I felt like I wasn't growing because I was seeing the same people I've seen in high school, the same people are there. It's not in the space that I'm in. I wasn't meeting anyone new. So I thought I should leave and get to meet and network people outside. So I remember they had this number. So I called this guy. I'm like, hi, I'm in need of internship. I'm just done with school. And he says, yes, you can come. And I told him, I'm really far. My folks stay in Kitengela. So I said, I'm really far. Can I just send you? And he said, yeah, sure. I sent it to him, and he told me you can come to this and this date. So my first internship was at Air Kenya. I went there, not to my surprise, the person that I took the number from was one of the line maintenance managers. Yes, he was so good to me. He didn't know me, but he really helped me, and he continued helping me all those times. So I thought, you're doing engineering, you're going to get this a lot of money, but then it goes to a point where you're not being paid, but you have to be at work every single day. So you're hearing the stories, same stories at Wilson. Oh, you need experience, you need to push for you to get to where you want to be. I said, okay, since everyone is doing it, let me do it. Maybe I'll also get a job like other people. But then 2021, you're still there. Nothing is happening. That was now after COVID, because I finished during COVID. So you're still there 2021. There's nothing that's coming up completely. There's something they call C checks. C checks are like it's a short term check, but it's very intense. You have to strip the whole aircraft and do all those things. So those are the ones that they pay. So companies can pay close to like 1,000 a day or 2,000 shillings a day. So everyone was always looking forward to that, because at least you're getting money from that. But for me, I feel like it's not as easy to get employed through that, because you're taken as a casual worker. So you only come when there's an aircraft and then you leave. So when I landed into that, the first time I got my first money, which was like 24,000, I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, my first one. But then the work is a lot, and to me, I wasn't really feeling fulfilled. Let me say that. I was like, am I still going to do this every single time? Because you go to Wilson, the aircraft are the same, by the way. Like, the work is the same. I was like, what's the fun in this? But I really respected people who love it. People, like, I had someone say at some podcast, they said there are people who are passionate about something, it's aviation people. They are passionate about their jobs, and yeah. I really loved it, but I was always looking for more. What more can I do, or what more can I get? So that's when I was like, let me start applying for scholarships. I started checking online, and then I saw one of the ladies here had gotten a scholarship. So I looked for her. I was like, how did you get this? Can I apply? She showed me. I applied for my first scholarship in Kenya. It was an aviation scholarship, but an international scholarship. So I asked her. I remember I was in some group called the Women in Aviation, and I was like, okay, I've seen someone getting a scholarship, reached out. How did you get the scholarship? How can I apply? Can you guide me into applying? I did. I applied for like 3-4 times. I wasn't getting it. But still, I feel like I've really mixed up the story, because I got my first scholarship when I was still in school in campus. But I didn't do it because visa issues again. So I started applying for visas I wasn't getting. And for me, right now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I listened to people a lot in where I was to do the training. So it made me miss it because you're being given a list of countries you can go to. And the first look of the people I showed, they saw Canada, US. I mean, Kenyans, they're running for that. But it was very easy for me to either go to China or India or even do it online. So I kind of kept extending it until, and I couldn't get a visa because it was crazy, the US visa or the Canadian visa. I didn't have all the paperwork. I didn't have bank accounts and all that. So I couldn't do it. So later on, it expired. And I just lost the biggest scholarship ever in the aviation industry. It really pained me. And then later the next year, I applied again and I got two. One was again taking me to the US. That one I couldn't really change it. And then another one was the Boeing scholarship. That one I explained to them. So they were like, okay, we're going to send you the money. Then you can decide what you want to do with it. So in engineering, there's always the licensing that you can do for you to be qualified. So for me, I didn't want to take the Kenyan license. I wanted to take the international license because I wanted to work abroad. So there's a license called B1. It's very expensive here in Kenya. So I decided, let me do it in Dubai because it would take like $3,500 for it. Here in Kenya, you charge close to like $6K dollars. It's a very expensive license, especially the international one. But the local one is very cheap. But for me, I wanted to do the international one and then convert it. I later on decided, let me do my degree. I didn't know which one to pick, but then I saw there was something online that I could go to Wilson and work, and then now do my online one. So all this time, you're still not decided yet. I was still looking for a school, which course to take, and all that. Now, after I got my first scholarship, worked in Wilson for a while, you don't go, whatever you're taught in school is not, okay, it's very different from what you get at work. I mean, it's the same, but maybe the experience goes, you in school, you don't get to hold tools and all that. So you go to work, you're being told to hold tools, spanners and all that. This is something you've never done. I remember my first internship. I used to cry every single day when I was going home because I used to feel like I'm failing in everything. And there's someone that once told me, he had sent me a spanner, and they always have numbers, 3/4, half, 3/16, like that. So people always know them, but just the look of it, but they're always written. So for me, I was still checking in the toolbox, trying to see which number. And this person is like, Ella, where's the spanner? And I'm still checking, I'm confused. And it's like, no, this is why we want women in the office. You can't deal with this. You should go to the office like other women and stay there. Maybe that will work. I think I went to the toilet and I was just crying. I was like, oh my God, like, will this be it? So it kind of puts you down. Now you're even scared to work with this person. Sometimes they tell you, oh, this person likes working with people who are very fast and all that. So again, I feel so pressured at work. I'm like, okay, you need to be fast. You need to know this. You're being told you need to continue reading manuals and all that. Like, there's always continuous reading. I didn't have a problem with that, but I just felt like every day you go to work, you're being asked questions. And to me, I felt as if you're being asked to see where you are at. It was, for me, I felt like it was something like being intimidated or something. So I never used to like that. So remember, you're going to work, you're there reading, you're on your phone. I'm coming from far, so I have to leave home early. When you're going back to work, it's still you reading every single time. There's always constant reading in aviation. People will tell you that. I didn't have a problem with that. I just had a problem with how people used to make people feel. Like they really pressure you a lot. And I remember I used to ask, why do you guys do this to people? And they're like, but people did this to us. Yeah, so we have to do this to people. Even on the payment part, when I used to complain, why you're not paying interns, yet we are here working every single day, even sometimes on Saturday, because you're trying to prove that you want that employment. So people will really push themselves. Sometimes even you'll tell people to come on Sunday and they will. And they'll tell you, we did the same thing you did. So it has to continue. And those are the things that I'm trying to change right now.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless.
Remember at the beginning when I said this episode is going to be such a connector for very many women? If you can relate with Ella's workplace experiences, whether you were an intern when you experienced it or a full-time, permanent or temporary employee, please, wherever you're listening to this, drop a comment and just let us know. You don't even have to get into details because a lot of these things are very traumatic. You can just say, same was up. Actually, yeah, that's what we can do. In the comments, just write, same was up. I feel like this is my comment, same was up. It is crazy what women have to experience in workplaces across different industries. Before I listened to Ella's story, I didn't think about what women in the aviation field experience. But now I'm like, oh my God, you too? Also you? What the hell? What the hell? Another thing that stood out for me in Ella's story, well, part one, is when she's talking about how she has different versions of her. So like her maternal side knows a different version of her and her paternal side knows a different version of her. And I think sometimes, especially when you're in unsafe environments, right? And you clock very quickly, it's not safe for me to be my whole self. We learn how to adapt. And I've said this on very many episodes. I'm pretty sure I've said it in the Midweek Teas episode where we talk about healing and stuff, is that sometimes what we think is our personality is actually who we learned to become in a particular environment because maybe that environment wasn't safe. All right. So like sometimes you think you're a quiet person, you're really not. It's just like speaking up in certain environments came with terrible consequences. So you're just like, I'm gonna wrap it up. You know, sometimes you're not timid. What really happened is like being your full self made other people uncomfortable. And another one is confidence, right? Sometimes you can think, I'm not a confident person. You really are. You really are. What happened is you were in a space that constantly made you question yourself. And I think what's pretty powerful, and it's something that I try and do with all of our shows, all of the spaces, is to make a space where you get to meet yourself. You get to meet yourself again. You get to be your whole self. There can be nothing wrong with you being your whole self, especially for African women. Anyway, that's part one. Part two is out next week. So subscribe wherever it is you're listening to this on so you do not miss out on it. Ella goes super deeper and she goes deeper into the sexual harassment. Let's just call it what it is. The sexual harassment that she experienced and like the culture of silence around it, right? And why those experiences eventually became the reason she decided to create something of her own. Part two of Ella's story is going to be out next Monday. If while listening to Ella's story, you feel inspired to share your own story, check out the show notes. There is a link to our storyteller form. Fill it out. One of our correspondents is going to get back to you. And actually, I was thinking about it yesterday. I have missed recording stories and I was trying to say, maybe in the next month or so, I can go into the storyteller pot and maybe pick one or two or three or four or six people that I can record because I've really missed it. I feel like our correspondents had all the fun. And so now I want in. Anyway, so share your story, fill out the form that is, because you're an African woman, you've got a story, it's valid, and we want to hear it. Remember, season 6 of For Mannerless Women premieres this Thursday, the 13th, on our YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed over there so you don't miss out on it. And thank you so much for listening to this episode to the very end. I truly appreciate you. And I think that you have every single thing it takes to heal.
That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.